Hello, it's me, and you can see I'm in a slightly more sunny outside location as my wife is somewhere in the middle of her 40-mile bike run and I've finished my run, I guess bike ride. I figured I'd take this time to start this Octaphobic puzzle. So this I've been waiting for a while. As you know, I love to expand collections to challenge the engineering feats of what's possible and not possible. Ever since seeing that there's a pyramorphix and a master pyramorphix, and seeing how Traiphum had a megamorphix and an ultramorphix, the 4 and 5 layer version. He had the 7 layer version that I got, and of course his hexaphobic was much awaited for. Well, I'd always wondered if an 8 layer version and beyond would be made. So this is, so far as I know, the highest level version, which is the 8 layer version, or Octaphobic. This is a puzzle that is from an 8 layer cube, 8 layer puzzle, and like all Traiphum's products, you can see his insignia over there. It's the definition of quality. The turning is effortless. Now, I own a lot of custom-made puzzles and a lot of shapeways puzzles, and the higher the complexity, the more I just accept the fact that the movement is going to be kind of catchy and it's going to be a little snaggy at times, but that's fine. You expect that. But I've never met a Traiphum product that wasn't incredible in terms of how it moves. So the movement of this particular puzzle in every direction, even if it's shape-shifting, is incredible. And it's really nice to solve a puzzle that I don't have to worry about the aspect of moving, where I have to kind of struggle with it to make that happen. So like I say, it's effortless in all directions. If I were to start off my scramble, just do some 180-degree scrambles. Now, it is possible to scramble and solve it 180 degrees. Remember, unless you're reducing it to another type of puzzle, you can solve it in any way that you scrambled it. I have people ask me, well, what if you scramble it this way? Can you solve it? Well, if you can scramble it that way, you can solve it that way. And sometimes with some of these more complicated puzzles, before you get your feet wet, you may just want to do like a 180-degree scramble just to see how you're doing. But bear in mind, this is an 8x8. It's an 8x8 supercube, so the strategies are no different. So we can start ourselves into the process of shape-shifting turns. Now, I'm always very cautious with puzzles, no matter how well they're put together, just because I don't want to cause any issues. This type of shape-shifting, again, is not like the cuboid shape-shifting. It's a type where you maintain the relative position of corners and centers and edges. And as long as they're lined up, you can make 90-degree turns. Because this is not a cuboid. This is a modification of a cube, so it moves in exactly the same way. So right now I'm just lining things up. If it doesn't move, don't force it, line it up, and then it'll move pretty effortlessly. So I'm just going to show more of the motions. You can see these pieces, despite the fact that they're made from epoxies, I mean, they look like fully formed casted pieces. It's almost like they were casted, perhaps they were, but it is definitely professional grade puzzles here. What we need to do is we need to clone Traiphum, make a whole team of him, and open up an entire corporation where these incredible puzzles are produced for everybody to own. Anyway, and until we can figure out how to do that, I'm just going to demonstrate how this guy's working. Now you can see that as I'm scrambling it, I'm still maintaining the relative positions. It actually even starts to look like a cube. You can see that the centers are still the centers, edges are still edges. So that is maintained. It doesn't have that jumbled scramble look that you see with the axis cubes or the ghost cubes, those kind of puzzles. Those, when it's scrambled, it's really hard to make out what's supposed to go where. Here, you actually can, and it does assist in the movement a little bit. So I'm going to scramble it more. And in terms of the solve, we're going to hit the high points, especially a couple of center placements, and then the last 2 centers of course, and edge placements, hopefully gleaning from this some information that might help you with other large cubes or large supercubes, large puzzles. So we'll continue with the scramble. Abracadabra. And we got it. Okay, so as long as my wife is still on her bike ride, we can keep going in this venue. Anyway, so being an even layered puzzle, I pretty much have to decide upon where I think things should go. Now, this does have a specific confirmation that it has to be at the ending, but I have to figure that out as I go. Being sure not to walk into parodies and making sure that I invest in placement early on, because I don't want to have to redo certain centers if I don't have to. So let's just arbitrarily start with a green center here. So here's green and white, and we're going to be doing green and whites all the way down. So we'll just kind of try to add things, put things in the way that we think that we should. So I'm going to have whites all the way down here, greens all the way down here. Now there is some equivalency to some pieces. Some of you might be thinking, well, is this done exactly the same way as the other large 8-layer puzzle that we found, which is the 8-layer barrel cube by Dan Fast, the Crazy Bad Cuber? The answer is this is actually easier because there is equivalency of pieces. You recall that because no piece was equivalent to each other, I couldn't take little quick shortcuts out. So, but here I can. It makes it a much more comfortable, easier solve. But anyway, so this comes into here, and you can see this is the right one. There's no cleft here. I want you to imagine the stares that I'm getting of people walking by, seeing this incredible puzzle and this guy filming it. But we bask in our eccentricities, right? So anyway, these are here. We need to put in greens here. And this goes fairly quick because I've got a variety to choose from. Here's a bunch of greens here that I can try to put in, so I'll just match that up here. And this is basically the assembly stage as opposed to the solving stage, which is, you know, it's almost like a form of meditation. You're just putting things in, focusing your mind a little bit here. And let's see if any of these can come in. I'm looking for one that's 3 in. One, 2, 3. There's one that's 3 in over here. Something within this plane. How about here? So all the way across here. Does it fit? Sure. Yeah, it fits. I need 3 in from here. So what I'm doing is I'm just counting. I need 3 in here or 4 in from here. So I'm just looking to see what's in here. Here's one that's 3 in, so I'll just put this in. And you can see this one doesn't fit. There's a little cleft here, so that's not going to do it. Maybe on this side here. Like I say, any other puzzle, the movement I'd be struggling with a little bit just to get things into place. But here, not so. Which makes it a lot more fun. Okay, if I can't find it there, turn this over here. Maybe something on this slice. How about this? This is 3 in. Move this in. And nope, this one doesn't work either. Let's move this side around here. Here's one that's 3 in over here. 1, 2, 3. So we'll bring this all the way down. And yes, so that's good over here. So I'm just making this 1 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 by 6 bar, and this one is in here as well, okay? So I'm just going to follow suit with that and just start putting in bars. What I want to do is I want to make sure that they're lined up well. So these over here, these both can coincide, as you can see. This may have been a limitation of my scramble, but that's okay here. So I'm going to put greens all the way down. Here, turn, turn, turn. Okay, so what I did is I filled in these so that I can put them into here, all along down here. So turn. Now to protect that, so that I don't destroy this, I'm going to use that same layered approach that I did, putting them in this plane. So I've created this. Destroy this, but I'm about to get that back. I use these planes to put it in, so I'm going to now turn this out of the way. Now I'm going to turn this down from a plane that I didn't use before, so turn it down from here. Now I'm going to turn things back. So turn this back, bring this whole bunch back up like this. Now turn this back down. This reassembles this part. Now in the previous tutorial with the Master Killaminx, you saw that I did the same technique. And I'm going to have to bring this back up here, and now this comes back in. So you can see the end result is I put a large amount in here without destroying that. That's how you can kind of quickly go through some of these large layered puzzles. Come in. Actually I have 3 here, but I've already got this one over here. So move these 2 in here. So just have to remember that I moved it from this plane. Move this down. Then take the one that I formed. And then move it down. roll it back, and be careful to move the two that I moved out right back in. And now turn this back. See, even getting the first side has its share of issues, and bang, so we got it. Alright, just to fill in this side, we can fill in this green. We can find any old green at the end, which is right here, and this will be quick. Turn it in, forming this side. Bump it out of the way. Turn it out, bring it back, and undo what I just did. Turn. You can almost cut corners with this thing too. Okay, so we've got half the side. I'm going to do the rest of the side exactly like this. So we see this over here. This is obviously going to come down to here. So I'm going to start filling these, but I can fill it in from up here. I got to be careful. I don't want to fill it in like this because it's going to be at right angles of where it's supposed to be. So I'm just going to keep filling the whites here, the greens here, and everything will be fine. So move this here. Plus I'll have more freedom to just place things. So that's not going to work. Did you finish?
I'm all done.
You're all done. How many miles is that?
Only 35.
Only 35, okay. Well, you know, if you keep training, it'll be better. All right, well, seeing as the bike ride is over, of course I finished first. Of course I was running and I ran less long, but okay, we will continue this later. Okay, so as you can see, I'm no longer in the peaceful, serene environment of the outside, so we're just gonna pick up where we left off here. So as you can see, I left off where I'm putting this side in here as I come back to it, filling up with whites and filling up with greens over here. This is correct, these are not. So really, we're still in the process of assembly and assembling these things. We got this one over here, and I'll just move it in. And we have ourselves the first center. Not too bad, not too shabby. Now, we have to be careful. This is an even layer puzzle, which means I could define the centers as being anything, so I have to make sure it's the right center. And I can use the corners to guide me, but it's going to be pretty easy to see that if this is green and white, then I'm going to have another green or white center. But what color is going to come next? So in this case, the corners might be able to guide me. So I'm going to take this corner here. I've got the green coming in here and the white coming in here. So what I'm going to be looking for is maybe a green and yellow, and that's going to come in over here. Because the green and yellow, the yellow will match to here, and the green will match to here. So that's what's going to be next. And then of course I can do the yellow and white over here. So green and yellow, I've got a couple to choose from over here. Move this in. And now the question is, what's the orientation going to be? So I'm going to have it oriented like this, with the green facing to the left and the yellow facing down. So that's how I'm going to want to orient it. So let's start orienting these here. I don't want to move the corner out quite yet, but I'll orient this to where the green is facing to the right and the white is facing, rather the yellow is facing down. Kind of like this. So let's see if this works. I'll just move this in here. So what I'm doing is I'm getting myself kind of a calibration point here, something to help orient myself. Because this is going to coincide with this, and this corner, as you can see, slices down and intersects with this. So this is going to be my point of orientation. Now it doesn't matter, I can start filling the greens up here and the yellows here, or the yellows here and the greens here. It doesn't matter as long as I keep doing slices the same way. Here. And turn that back. Okay, greens, fill in some greens here. Okay, so we've assembled this. We want to put it into here without blasting out this. So what I'm going to do is double turn, like so. Bring this out to greet it, moving this in. Move it back, like this, and move it in. Okay, so now that I've got two centers here, what I'm going to do is try to line it up to where I can kind of figure out what might come next. So what I'm doing is I'm building up the green side. So this is green over here, white and yellow, and I can do my third green. So the third green side is going to be the green and red. Okay, picking up from here, we have these two centers. Now I'm just trying to fill in, actually this center over here, get this bar here. So I've got this green all the way down here. We can put this in here. So turn, turn, and turn. Now I need to put this into here. Move this in place. And this will get us halfway done with our centers. 1, 2. Move it in. Splat. And double turn it and move it in. Okay, so I'm trying to do a little bit of planning so that I can not set myself up for disaster later. But here's the first 3 centers, green, 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 and I correlated that with corners as they were here. So now I can just keep doing exactly that. So why don't I do, say, this? So if this is green and red, this is green and yellow, this obviously has to be red and yellow. I can try to prove that to myself, but I'll do that towards the end. Splat. What do you think? Bang, bang, back you go. This thing is so heavy that my hands are actually getting tired holding it. We're really starting to get to the upper limits of, I think, what might be possible with these puzzles. Alright, continuing on with another brown. Here's another one. There we go. All too easy. Again, we're still at the assembly stage. With each puzzle, there's the assembly stage where you're just kind of putting things in. And then there's the actual solving stage where you have to really think about what you're doing. Not quite there yet. Turn. But it's so fun to move these puzzles around. It's still all good. Over here. Turn and back you go. So now I've isolated it over here. Find what needs to come in. Find it here. Whoop, that ain't it. That's it, I think. Turn, 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 and back you go. So now this is ready to move in to that certain bit of real estate. Okay, now with this is going to move into here, and I can't replace it with this. So what I'm actually going to have to do is double turn it from here. Move what I want it to move into out. Move it here. Double turn. And move it in. Okay. And I'm just going to keep going like that. And let's see, where's the other one? We'll do this one. Match it up, make sure it makes sense. So this one is going to have to, by necessity, go right here. Okay, so we find some other browns that we can put in. Here's a whole nest of browns, and I think that might have at least a couple, if not all, that we're looking for. Move it in. Look at that. Whoosh. Bingo. Won the lottery with that one. And move it back. Okay, every so often we get lucky like that. Well, I think I have to move this out from this side. So, turn, bang, zoom, zoom, and pow. You know, in many ways, this Octaphobic, which is the highest ordered version of this puzzle, moves better than my pyramorphix puzzle. It's amazing. I like it. Now this one is fairly easy to put in because I've got both ends that are out. So the way that I like to put it in with these is just go, once I line it up, I can't be fooled into how smooth this is that it won't pop a piece. And I don't want to do that. It'll just slow me down. Turn it back in. Okay, last edge, you can see that much of this is still in. Now, I'm going to do this a little different now. Because I have 1, 2, 3 slices that are in already, I'm going to just do it by a slightly different technique. I'm not going to move the slice in. I'm not going to form the slice and move it in. I might as well just put it in like it is here. So that way I can just hunt around for the right red one, which is over here. So basically, I'm just going to separate, tease out layers, move this here, so I've created this layer, turn it to the side, move what I just created out, and then turn it back, and then reconstitute what I just did. This gets moved back in here. Now what I'm doing now is a very simple version of what I'm going to be doing with the last 2 centers, of teasing out different layers. And if you can just keep track of that, you got it in the bag. And then we're going to go over what the saving grace of this puzzle is. What makes this more simple than the barrel cube, or the barrel. Alright, so I created this over here within this plane. Now I basically do an F, and move it out from the plane that I created it in. And then reconstruct it, if I can. Move it back. This comes back here. Move this, and this comes back here. So you can see step by step I can put everything in. So this seamlessly comes into here. Move it in, move it out, turn it like so, move this back, up, across, back. Okay, so we got it. And just so that we can orient things, make sure we didn't do anything wrong, move this over to here. Okay, so this is making sense here. So now we're down to the last 2 centers, and now this is the important part.